Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. As I said before, I really do love going into a deep dive of things and trying to find things that are happening in our government that they think they just don't make it to the mainstream. Well, as we covered the last subcommittee, we've got another one. And this is the House of Foreign Affairs Subcommittee. Because today we had the Republican from Florida, and I believe that's Brian Mast, who was asking some questions representing the DFC, the Developmental Finance Committee, I believe it is, and asking them a simple question because what they're trying to do now is to get money, more taxpayer dollars. This time, this is for energy in Europe. And there's a simple question being asked, and it's pretty much a very relevant question because it falls into the line of things that they want to use taxpayers' dollars to pay for. And it's very disconcerting that the person being asked refuses to give an answer to the question. And so we've gone over this time and time again. These people come to these committees, they come to these hearings, they come begging for money, they want taxpayer dollars to pay for their stuff. And when people ask them questions about it, when they say, okay, what's the money for? What do you want to do with the money? Is it going to this? Is it going to that? It's a simple yes or no question. Is the money going to this? And the simple fact that you don't want to answer, the fact that you refuse to answer, in the arena where the American public can actually see and hear these answers. It's like we've said before, they will have their office type something up, write something up, and send it to the senators asking the questions. But you'll never hear about that. You'll never see that. And that's why they do it. Because if they were to do it in the form that is being asked, the American people would be quite aware and they would not go for it. And the representatives would have the fuel they need to deny these because, well, the people would be aware of where their money's going. And as the problems in the United States rise for the citizens, as there's always been problems that have been there, that have financially burdened citizens of America, when they're aware that their money is being used for things that have nothing to do with their benefit or helping them or feeding them, they begin to get unhappy with those in charge. And then they realize that the leaders that they voted for are not working in the best interest of them. So what happens? Special elections happen, recall elections happen, but mostly election cycles happen. And when that 2-year cycle comes, many of them get voted out. And why do they end up getting voted out? Because the American people are made aware of what they are doing. So that's why this little subcommittee meeting is quite important. Because this is a situation where the American people need to be aware of where their money is going. They like to flood you with the big things, but these little things really actually take the bigger toll because these are the ones that slide through. And they end up costing sometimes as much, if not more, than what they scream to you on the news. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this.
Something that you stated already, Mr. Light, and that was that Russians were manipulating the market and increasing prices before the invasion. And why I think it's so important that you said that today is because let's all ask ourselves, what was President Biden doing while this was going on and ahead of that going on? Well, he was cutting off U.S. pipelines and creating a difficult regulatory environment for made-in-America oil and gas. You guys are to blame. That is what you were doing, and everybody should be pointing their fingers at you, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have any questions for you. I do want to talk about Development Finance Corporation. I do have your budget request right here, what you're asking for from we the people, the American people, and I do have the EESDA in front of me right here. Want to go over a few parts of it, as I did with Mr. Nathan a couple days ago, and want to know your opinion on these. Part of the EESDA specifically says to facilitate international negotiations concerning cross-border infrastructure. Should I understand cross-border infrastructure as it relates to the energy and EESDA as pipelines?
Thank you for the question, Congressman.
Is it pipelines?
As I think CEO Nathan mentioned in his testimony, cross-border infrastructure would include infrastructure for energy. That's our mandate under
Cross-border would be a pipeline. That's a pipeline that goes across a border,
Well,
right?
for example, in the energy, if you look at the project eligibility guidelines in the Act,
Is it a pipeline among other
electricity
things?
transmissions.
Is it a pipeline among other things?
Well, I think it could be.
Are you against pipelines?
Well,
Are you for pipelines? Are you for pipelines?
The Act discusses.
Let's go with that one. Are you for pipelines?
Congressman, I appreciate the question.
Yes or no? For pipelines, yes?
In my
No?
personal capacity, I have been really honored to have this opportunity to serve.
I'm not worried about how honored you are. Are you for pipelines?
With respect, Congressman, my personal opinion is.
This is what people hate about Washington, D.C. It's a simple question. You're asking for money from the U.S. taxpayer to do cross-state infrastructure overseas as related to energy. Are you for pipelines or not?
I think that the Development Finance Corporation is interested in advancing any project that can deliver energy security for
It
our
does say
allies and
diversity
partners
on here,
in
energy
Europe.
diversity, and it does say renewable and non-renewable fuels. That's the EESDA. So are you for pipelines?
I love this. It is for non-renewable. Oh yes, fossil fuels are in there, actually in this. But I think I like how this is done, straight to the point. The questions they're not traps. He's not trying to set him up. He's direct to the point. You're giving the sidestep answers. Oh, I'm so honored. That doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for. We're not here for you to feel honored. We're here because you're asking the taxpayers for money. So, we want to know, are pipelines included in this? Because that means the administration is okay with this. They want these are their things they want. They want you to be okay with it. And if we're going to push on pipelines around the world in other countries, we have to ask ourselves, why are they destroying the United States infrastructure in such a manner as they are? But let's continue, because it's about to get really good.
In the Act, the project eligibility
So you won't say if you're
allows
for
us-
pipelines. It's yes or no.
allows us to work on projects that can deliver electricity generating capacity using fossil or clean energy.
So you're for fossil fuel use?
And we will advance.
You're for the DFC
The DFC will
creating
advance.
a friendly regulatory
Please,
environment.
if I
for
could
fossil-
interrupt,
No,
please
you
allow.
can't.
Yes,
It's
I
not your
can.
time. No, you can't. It's not your
Yes,
time.
I can,
No,
sir.
you can't.
Sir,
you guys messed
you'd
this
like an
all up.
argument.
It's
Allow him
not
to
your
answer
time.
the question.
Not
In
your
all due
time.
respect,
There's no respect taken.
evidently there's
So,
no respect given.
That's because you guys are
Chair-
messing up energy
Chair
for our
recognizes
country.
the witness to
you
answer
guys
a
are
question
making
that
oil
was
and
posed
gas
to him.
ridiculously expensive for Americans, and you don't want to be questioned about it.
Are you
The
pleased that you're
Biden
getting the soundbite, sir? I'm not going to
created this
participate in it.
problem. Don't participate then.
Let
Close
the
your mouth and let me
witness-
ask my questions. Don't participate. Let me
Close
ask
my mouth, sir.
Yes, you heard it directly. That's why you sound so offended, because you heard what I said. So let's do that, and let me finish asking my questions.
Allow them
Thank you.
to answer the
If
question.
he wanted to answer the question, he could. Let's get back to the questions that you don't want to answer. Do you support pipelines? We know that you don't. We talked about what Mr. Light said already, that the Russians were working to manipulate these markets ahead of the invasion into the Ukraine. And what was the Biden administration doing? absolutely nothing. They were cutting off pipelines here in the United States of America, creating a difficult regulatory environment for oil and gas exploration. You guys are to blame for this. You're interrupting me because you don't want Democrats to have to answer for what Democrats have been doing in the House of Representatives, what the administration has been doing as it relates to energy, cutting off 25,000 jobs as it relates to the XL pipeline, 800,000 barrels a day of oil to the United States of America. You're willing to ask for money for the Development Finance Corporation, money from we the people in the United States of America to develop energy infrastructure overseas, reduce the regulatory environment for energy infrastructure to include fossil fuel usage overseas, but you'll cut it off here for Made in America from sea to shining sea, and you guys are absolutely wrong because of it. Now you can have 2 seconds back.
And that is how you do it. You know, and that's what I love. Do many of us know who Brian Mast is? No. No, we don't. But, again, these are little committee meetings, these subcommittee meetings that really make a huge difference because they spend a lot of money. If you wonder, where does all the money go? These are things that happen. This is where the money goes. And it's always a pleasure to see these, and, you know, it brings back a little faith in people that are elected to office, to know that there are people in there that are asking questions like this of the people that want money. The people who are just trying to spend money. Hey, what do you need it for? What exactly are we paying for? You're coming here asking for 100, 200, 300, 400, a billion, or in Ukraine's case, 44 billion. What are you going to use it for? Okay? And these are fair questions, and the American people have a right to know the answer. So yes, that was today's subcommittee hearing on the House of Foreign Affairs. And it's always interesting to watch these little committees. I quite rather enjoy it. But this should give you some hope and some faith that their leaders, or rather elected officials, that are actually doing their jobs the right way. At least in some context, as it seems today. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.